Good evening, everybody. Welcome. My name is Bradley Shaw, and you're watching Between the Covers. Tonight, I'm talking to author MrChipz, who is the author of Dave the Deckie, A Shark in the Net. Good evening, MrChipz. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Brad. Good to see you.
Good, mate. Good. And tell everybody watching, what is Dave the Deckie, A Shark in the Net, all about?
Dave the Deckie, A Shark in the Net is a story when I was much younger and I used to work on a prawn trawler, and it's an adventure that I had one night with a shark in the net, and the adventure fishing that night.
Yeah, well, you can't get much more real than that. So what made you think when you were reminiscing or thinking back on this experience, but there would be such a great children's book?
Well, I didn't actually start to think of writing a children's book. I was going to write a book on the adventures in my life. And then I started writing this story, and then I realized, hang on, that's a good little kid's book. Just needs a few touch-ups, and there it was.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it is. It's a magical little story. It's authentic in the sense, even though it's a children's story, it's authentic in the sense that you're the person, you're involved in that, you lived it, and that makes it so much more real. Yeah. So when you were doing that, were you a deckhand for a long time? Were you working on boats for a long time?
About 18 months. I was a deckhand.
Yep. Yeah. And did you enjoy it as much as what it seems you did in the book?
Some of the times it was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Some of the times it was actually quite scary, as in a future story coming up. There's a story about when it was actually one of those scary moments when a big storm came.
You mean having a shark land on the boat wasn't scary enough?
Yeah, that was scary, but a big storm where you're being told that you're going to have to jump off the boat into the sea, that was a lot scarier.
Definitely. No, it's quite an adventurous life. That's amazing. So you've evolved these into a series of Dave the Deckie stories, which is fantastic. Yeah. So do you find writing them difficult, or because you're drawing on what you know, is it easier to write them, or?
I find it enjoyable, and because I've worked in schools for so long with kids, I think I've developed the skill to writing kids' stories because I've worked with kids for so long.
Yeah. And have they had a chance to have a read of these, or have you had feedback on some of the kids' thoughts?
Yeah, I actually, one time I read the kids a story in the library, and they all thought it was very good. They gave me a lot of positive feedback. So it was very good.
Awesome. So did you ever think of yourself as becoming an author, as publishing these stories? Like when you wrote them originally, did you think you would step out there?
I did have a thought of becoming an author, but I was thinking of writing like an autobiography, not actually writing a kid's story.
Yep.
But when I wrote the kids' story, it just developed from there, and that's it. It's what's happening. It's just happening, and it's really good.
And how have you found the process? Like naturally writing the story is one step, but the next step, taking on to the illustrating and then the publishing and then working through the process, how have you found that?
Exciting and long, but good. And also it's a different situation, whereas when I do something, usually you get a reaction straight away, whereas with publishing a story, you've got to be patient and understand it's a process that needs to happen, and you can't rush good things.
No, that's right. And we want to make sure that, like I say, like the time is used to make sure the audience and everyone knows about your book, and make sure that, the market's set up, because you can't just whack a cover on it and make it quick. I agree. So, but that's really great. So what is our next steps for you, MrChipz? What are you going to do for the next book? So is it the ocean tornado one, or is it another story? What do you got coming up for us?
It's a story about when we went out to sea one night and a big storm came up. And it was pretty scary. And that's a story about the when the sea gets rough. And you get caught in it, and you've got to get back in the wheelhouse and I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but Dave ends up in a situation.
Oh dear. Well, that's something to read about, kids. So so that's curious. So this reminds me a lot of, I get a sense of Gilligan's Island feel with a lot of these stories. Now, a lot of the young kids today probably don't even know some of that history of TV show. But did you find
frozen.
Hey? Sorry, mate. I just found it really interesting that, was the captain, he was somebody you knew? You modelled this on a person? Does he know that you've done this story?
No, well, I worked on a few different boats. So the captain is a different character.
Good.
And the next story has got a different, because I worked on about 5 different boats, and I had, 5 different skippers that I worked with.
Yeah.
So, the character.
So it's kind of a collective of everybody.
Yeah, it's like a combined effort, using bits and pieces of each skipper to make up the character of the skipper.
Fantastic. And the boat in the story, is that authentic? Is that the real boat, or is that just another thing that you've sort of embellished a bit?
Oh, that was just the name of the boat was named because my daughter helped me heaps with the story, so that's why it's the LFB Nessa.
Nice. There you go. That's a really nice little antidote. So has your family been really supportive? Has your family been good for helping you with these stories and pursuing this goal?
Yeah, well, they're pretty excited and
Good.
Can't wait to see what happens and get a hold of the book. And see we're all excited to see the book, the book.
Yeah.
The most exciting part.
Well, everybody watching as well is excited. I mean, that's the point. And it is coming in August, so I apologise for the delay on that end. It is being released soon, and yes, everyone will get a copy, and it's going to be wonderful. It's such a great book for kids.
Yeah.
You're going to really enjoy it. So well done, David, for that.
Thank you.
Great. So if you were talking to a younger one of yourself, and what would you tell yourself about writing and learning what you've done now?
Oh, what would I tell myself about writing a story? It's nothing to be nervous about. If you feel that you've got a story inside, then you should share it. Really, that's the best advice, I think. If you feel you've got a story to tell, well, have a go.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well done. So everybody watching as well, please do grab a copy of Dave the Deckie. It is available everywhere books are sold. You can buy it online, and also we encourage you to go to your local bookstore and or order it, or go to your school, ask them to order it as well, so the kids in their school can share it. But it is a wonderful book, and Mr. Chipz, the author, has spent his time with us tonight. And thank you, Mr. Chipz, for your time. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
So yes, thank you everyone for watching, and we will look forward to more adventures of Dave the Deckie, and everyone take care, and thank you for your time.